Hello and welcome to Learning Explained. I'm Emma.
And I'm Leo. Today, we're going to talk about something every English learner needs: vocabulary.
Yes, but not just any vocabulary learning. We want to learn vocabulary naturally. Leo, what do you think learning vocabulary naturally means?
Maybe learning words without trying too hard? Like picking them up from conversations or songs?
Exactly. Learning vocabulary naturally means you don't have to memorize long lists of words. Instead, you learn new words by seeing, hearing, and using them in real life, just like how children learn their first language.
Oh, so it's more about experiencing the language than just studying.
Yes. Scientists say that natural vocabulary learning happens when you encounter words many times in different situations. Your brain starts to recognize patterns and meanings without much effort.
That sounds easier than memorizing hundreds of words.
It is, but it takes patience and the right kind of exposure. When you meet a word again and again, your brain creates strong connections. This makes the word easier to remember and use later.
So, repetition is important?
Very important. But repetition doesn't mean boring repetition. It means interesting repetition. Seeing words in stories, conversations, songs, or videos that you enjoy.
I like that. It sounds fun and natural, not like homework.
Exactly. Also, your brain learns better when you can guess the meaning of a word from the context, like the pictures or the story around it.
So, if I hear the word apple in a story about fruit, I can guess what it means.
Right. That's called context learning. It helps your brain connect new words with ideas, feelings, and images. This connection makes words easier to remember and understand.
Wow, there's a lot going on in the brain when we learn vocabulary naturally.
Yes, and it's fascinating. We'll talk more about how to create this natural learning environment for vocabulary in the next chapter. For now, remember, natural vocabulary learning is about lots of exposure, repetition in interesting ways, and using context to guess meaning.
Got it. That makes me excited to start learning new words naturally.
Welcome back. In our last chapter, we learned that natural vocabulary learning happens when you see and hear new words many times in different situations. Today, we'll talk about how you can get this kind of natural exposure every day, even if you don't live in an English-speaking country.
That's great, Emma. Sometimes I worry I don't hear or see enough English words outside of class. So how can I find more opportunities to learn new vocabulary naturally?
Good question, Leo. There are lots of ways to create natural exposure to English in your daily life. The key is to surround yourself with the language as much as possible in ways that interest you.
Okay, but what does that look like in practice?
Let's start with something fun and easy, watching videos or TV shows in English. When you watch something interesting, like a show about food, sports, or travel, you hear words used naturally, not just random lists.
I like watching videos, but sometimes I get lost when people speak too fast.
That's very normal. One tip is to use subtitles, first in your own language to understand the story, and then in English to connect the sounds with the words. You can watch the same video multiple times to catch more new words each time.
So watching videos is like giving my brain lots of examples of how words are used.
Exactly. Your brain starts to notice patterns, like which words often appear together. This is called collocation. For example, make a decision or take a break. When you learn collocations naturally, your English sounds more fluent.
That sounds helpful. What about reading? Does it help with natural vocabulary learning too?
Definitely. Reading books, articles, or even simple stories in English gives you visual exposure to words. You can see the spelling, the sentence structure, and how words fit together.
But reading can be slow for me.
That's okay. Start with easy reading materials like children's books or graded readers designed for learners. They use simple language and repeat important vocabulary.
Okay, so videos and reading. What else?
Listening to English music or podcasts is another great way. Songs often repeat words and phrases, which helps with memory. Podcasts let you hear different voices and accents, giving you rich exposure.
I like songs. Sometimes I sing along to remember new words.
That's fantastic, Leo. Singing helps your brain remember sounds and rhythms of words better.
Is there a way to practice vocabulary actively too?
Yes, while natural exposure is mostly about input, seeing and hearing, active practice helps you use words. You can keep a small vocabulary notebook or app to write down new words you hear or read. Then try to use those words in simple sentences or conversations.
So I'm learning naturally by exposure, but also using the words to make them stick?
Exactly. The combination of natural exposure plus active use is very powerful for learning vocabulary.
That makes sense. Can you give me a quick summary of the best ways to get natural exposure?
Sure. Number 1, watch videos, TV shows, or movies that you enjoy. Number 2, read simple books or articles. Number 3, listen to music or podcasts in English. Number 4, keep track of new words and try to use them. And most importantly, make it fun and part of your daily routine.
Thanks, Emma. I feel ready to fill my days with English naturally now.
Great to hear. Next, we'll talk about how to remember new words more easily when you see them in natural ways. Welcome back. So far, we've talked about what natural vocabulary learning means and how to get lots of exposure every day. Now, let's explore how to remember those new words in a way that feels natural and not stressful.
That's exactly what I need. Sometimes I learn new words, but forget them quickly.
You're not alone, Leo. Our brains are designed to forget things that don't seem important. But when we use some smart memory techniques, we can help our brain hold on to new words longer.
Cool. What are these techniques?
One of the most effective is called spaced repetition. This means reviewing words multiple times, but with increasing gaps between each review. For example, you might review a word after 1 day, then after 3 days, then a week later, and so on.
Why does that work?
Because every time you recall a word after some time has passed, you strengthen the memory. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets.
Makes sense. So I shouldn't try to cram a lot of words at once.
Right. Cramming can feel like a quick fix, but the brain forgets much of that soon after. Spaced repetition is better for long-term learning.
Okay. What else can help?
Another helpful technique is using images and stories. When you connect a new word to a picture or story, your brain creates a stronger link. For example, if you learn the word elephant, imagine a big gray elephant in your mind, or a funny story about an elephant.
That sounds fun and easy to do.
It really is. Also, learning words in groups, like all the colors or all the food words, helps your brain organize vocabulary better.
I never thought about grouping words.
It's a powerful way to remember because related words connect in your brain. When you hear or see one word, it can remind you of the others.
Are there any tips for practicing new words in speaking or writing?
Definitely. Try to use new words and sentences soon after learning them. Even speaking to yourself is helpful. For example, if you learn the word happy, you can say, I feel happy today. Using words actively helps move them from your short-term memory to your long-term memory.
I see. So it's about practice and making the words part of your daily life.
Exactly. And one last tip. Be patient and kind to yourself. Learning vocabulary naturally takes time, but with consistent practice and smart techniques, your word bank will grow steadily.
Thank you, Emma. These memory tips sound doable and even fun.
You're welcome, Leo. In our next chapter, we'll talk about how to use technology and apps to help you remember vocabulary naturally. Welcome back. So far, we've talked about what natural vocabulary learning means, how to get exposure every day, and memory techniques to remember words. Now, in this chapter, let's explore how technology and apps can help make learning vocabulary easier and more natural.
That's something I'm really interested in, Emma. There are so many apps and websites out there, but sometimes it's hard to know which ones actually help you learn vocabulary naturally. Some just give you lists of words to memorize, which can be boring and not very useful.
You're right, Leo. Not all apps are created equal. The best apps for natural vocabulary learning are the ones that focus on real-life usage, where you see words in sentences, hear them in conversations, and practice using them in fun ways. For example, apps like Duolingo, Memrise, and Anki are popular because they use different methods to help you remember and use words naturally.
I've tried Duolingo before. I like how it teaches words through short lessons and uses pictures, but sometimes I wonder if I'm really learning to use the words in real life or just clicking answers.
That's a good observation. Apps like Duolingo are great for input. That is, seeing and hearing new words in a fun, game-like way. But to speak or write confidently, you also need active practice. Some apps offer speaking exercises or chat box to practice conversations, which help bridge that gap.
What about Memrise? I heard it uses videos of real people speaking.
Exactly. Memrise is excellent because it shows you native speakers using words and phrases in everyday situations. This gives you natural context and helps with pronunciation and understanding how words are actually used. Plus, Memrise uses spaced repetition, so you review words at the right times to remember them longer.
That sounds like the best of both worlds, natural exposure plus memory practice.
Yes, and then there's Anki, which is a flashcard app that uses spaced repetition very effectively. With Anki, you can create your own flashcards with words, pictures, or example sentences. The app reminds you to review cards just before you might forget them, which strengthens your memory naturally.
I like that idea. Making my own flashcards means I can focus on words that are important to me.
Definitely. Personalizing your learning makes the process more meaningful and natural. Another exciting technology is language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem. These connect you with native speakers from around the world, so you can practice chatting or even voice messages.
That sounds amazing, but also a little scary. Talking to strangers in English?
It can feel scary at first, but these apps usually have community rules and moderation to keep things safe and friendly. Plus, many people on these apps are learners just like you. They want to help and learn too. It's a great way to get natural conversations and practice vocabulary in real time.
I can see how talking with real people makes vocabulary stick better than just studying alone.
Absolutely, Leo. Technology gives us many tools to create a natural learning environment, from videos and podcasts to flashcards and real conversations. The key is to choose tools that keep you engaged and give you lots of meaningful exposure.
So it's not just about using technology, but using it smartly.
Exactly. Set small goals, mix different apps and methods, and remember to practice actively. For example, after hearing a new word in a video, try to write a sentence with it or say it out loud.
Thanks, Emma. I'm excited to try some of these apps and see how they fit with my learning style.
That's wonderful, Leo. Remember, technology is a tool to support your natural learning. It doesn't replace real-life practice, but it makes learning more fun and effective.
Great advice. In the next chapter, I'm curious about how to stay motivated and keep learning vocabulary naturally over time.
Perfect. We'll dive into motivation and habits next, so stay tuned. Welcome back. So far, we've covered what natural vocabulary learning means, how to get exposure every day, memory tips, and useful apps. Now, let's talk about something really important: how to stay motivated and build good habits to keep learning new words naturally.
That's something I struggle with sometimes. At the beginning, I'm excited to learn new words, but after a while, I lose interest or feel tired.
You're not alone, Leo. Many learners feel the same way. The key is to find ways to keep your motivation strong and make learning a natural part of your daily life.
So how can I do that?
One way is to set small, clear goals. For example, instead of saying, I want to learn 100 new words, try, I will learn 5 new words this week and use them in sentences. Small goals feel easier and more rewarding when you achieve them.
That sounds less stressful than big goals.
Exactly. Another tip is to mix vocabulary learning with your hobbies and interests. If you love cooking, watch cooking videos in English or read recipes. If you enjoy sports, listen to podcasts about your favorite teams.
So making learning fun and related to what I like helps me stay interested.
Yes, your brain remembers words better when they connect to your personal life and feelings. Also, try to celebrate your progress, even small wins like using a new word correctly in conversation.
That's a good idea. Sometimes I forget to notice my improvements.
It's important to be kind to yourself. Learning a language is a journey, and ups and downs are normal. Building a habit is more important than being perfect every day.
How can I build a habit of learning vocabulary naturally?
Try to link vocabulary practice to a daily routine you already have. For example, learn new words while having your morning coffee, or listen to an English song during your commute.
So I use moments I already have instead of making extra time.
Yes, this makes learning feel natural and less like a chore. Another great method is to keep a small notebook or app where you add new words every day. Review it regularly, even just for a few minutes.
I like that. It feels doable to add a few words each day and look at them sometimes.
Exactly. Finally, connect with other learners or native speakers. Having friends or partners to practice with helps you stay motivated and makes learning social and fun.
That sounds motivating. Learning with others instead of alone.
Absolutely. We humans learn best when we feel supported and engaged. So, to sum up, set small goals, connect learning to your interests, celebrate progress, build vocabulary habits around your daily life, and find learning partners.
Thanks, Emma. These tips make me feel ready to keep going and enjoy the process.
Great to hear, Leo. In our next chapter, we'll talk about how to take all the new words you're learning and start using them naturally in your speaking and writing so you can feel confident using new words. Welcome back. Today, we'll talk about how to take all the new words you're learning and start using them naturally in your speaking and writing. This step is very important because knowing a word is one thing, but being able to use it confidently is another.
That's true, Emma. Sometimes I understand new words when I read or hear them, but I don't feel ready to say them myself. How can I get better at using vocabulary naturally?
Great question, Leo. The first step is to practice using new words in simple sentences. You don't need to make long or complicated sentences, just short, clear ones, like, I am happy today, or she likes apples. This helps you get comfortable with the word and its meaning.
Okay, so starting small is important.
Exactly. Another tip is to use real-life situations to practice. For example, if you learn words about food, try describing what you eat or order at a restaurant in English. Using words in real contexts helps your brain remember and connect them to experiences.
That makes sense. Sometimes I also try to talk to myself in English during the day. Is that useful?
Absolutely. Talking to yourself is a great way to practice without pressure. You can describe what you're doing, your feelings, or your plans using new vocabulary. It builds your confidence and fluency.
What about writing? I find it harder to use new words in writing than in speaking.
That's common. A good way to start is by writing short paragraphs or diary entries about your day. Try to include some new words you've learned.
Don't worry about making mistakes. The important thing is to practice using words actively.
So writing regularly helps me remember words better?
Yes, it strengthens your memory and helps you think in English. Also, you can ask a teacher or a friend to check your writing and give you feedback. This helps you learn the correct way to use words.
That sounds helpful. Are there any other ways to practice vocabulary naturally?
Yes. Try to listen and repeat. When you hear a new word or phrase in a video or podcast, pause and say it out loud. This helps with pronunciation and makes the word feel more familiar.
I see. So repetition plus active use helps make vocabulary really yours.
Exactly, Leo. And don't forget, it's okay to make mistakes. Using new words is a skill that improves with practice and time. The more you use vocabulary, the more natural it becomes.
Thanks, Emma. I feel more confident now to start speaking and writing with new words.
That's wonderful. In our next chapter, we'll explore how to review and refresh your vocabulary regularly so you never forget what you've learned. Welcome back! So far, we've talked about how to get new words naturally, remember them, use technology, stay motivated, and practice speaking and writing. Now, let's discuss an important part of learning vocabulary that many people overlook: reviewing what you've learned so you don't forget it.
Yes, Emma. I sometimes feel like I learn a lot of words, but after a few weeks, many of them just disappear from my memory.
That's very common, Leo. Our brains naturally forget things if we don't use or review them regularly. This is called the forgetting curve, a scientific concept showing that memories fade quickly unless refreshed.
So how can I fight the forgetting curve?
One effective method is to review new vocabulary at planned intervals, what we call spaced repetition. For example, after learning a new word, review it the next day, then 3 days later, then a week, 2 weeks, and so on. This helps the brain strengthen the memory each time.
That sounds smart, but it feels like a lot of work to remember when to review all the words.
That's where technology can help again. Many apps like Anki and Memrise automatically schedule these reviews for you, so you only see words when it's time to refresh them. But if you're not using apps, you can keep a simple review schedule yourself, like using a calendar or notebook.
I see. What else can help with reviewing?
Another great tip is to review vocabulary actively, not just by reading lists. For example, quiz yourself, write sentences with the words, or try to explain their meanings aloud. Active review makes the words more meaningful and easier to remember.
That sounds more interesting than just reading lists.
Absolutely. You can also mix old words with new words in your practice. This way, your brain keeps all vocabulary connected and stronger. And don't forget to use your words in conversations or writing. Real use is one of the best forms of review.
It sounds like reviewing is really about keeping a connection with the words over time.
Exactly. Vocabulary learning isn't just about learning once. It's about returning to words again and again, naturally fitting them into your life. Another helpful idea is to keep a vocabulary journal or app where you note new words and review them weekly.
I think I'll start keeping a small notebook just for this purpose.
That's a great plan, Leo. And remember, reviewing is a normal and important part of learning. It doesn't mean you failed if you forget a word. It just means your brain needs a little more practice.
Thanks, Emma. I feel ready to build regular review into my learning routine now.
Wonderful. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to learn vocabulary naturally through cultural experiences and immersion, which can make learning even more exciting. Welcome back to the final chapter of today's episode. We've covered a lot about learning vocabulary naturally: exposure, memory, technology, motivation, practice, review, and now it's time to talk about something truly special: culture and immersion.
That sounds interesting, Emma. What do you mean by culture and immersion when it comes to learning words?
Great question, Emma. Culture means the customs, traditions, food, music, and everyday life of people who speak the language. Immersion means surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible, so you experience it in real life or close to real life.
So, like traveling to an English-speaking country?
Yes, that's one way. Traveling or living in a place where English is spoken lets you hear and use words naturally every day. But even if you can't travel, you can still immerse yourself through media, like movies, music, books, podcasts, or online communities. This cultural exposure helps your brain connect words with feelings, stories, and real situations.
I see. When I watch movies in English, I notice that I understand some words better because I see how people use them in conversations.
Exactly, Leo. That's the power of immersion. It teaches you how words fit into real conversations, not just their dictionary meanings. It also helps you learn slang, expressions, and different accents.
Is it okay if I don't understand everything at first?
Absolutely. Immersion is a gradual process. Your brain picks up patterns and meanings little by little. Don't worry about understanding every word. Focus on enjoying the experience and noticing new words as they come.
That makes me feel less stressed about watching shows or listening to music in English.
That's the right attitude. Also, if possible, try to join cultural events, language meetups, or online groups where you can interact with native speakers. This real interaction helps vocabulary become part of your natural speech.
Thanks, Emma. I'm excited to explore English culture more and use these immersion tips.
Me too, Leo. Remember, learning vocabulary naturally is a journey filled with discovery and fun. With patience, practice, and a little creativity, you'll keep improving every day.
Thank you for all the helpful tips in this episode. I can't wait to keep learning and using new words naturally.
You're very welcome. And thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with friends who want to learn English naturally too.
See you next time. Keep practicing and stay curious.
Bye for now.